It is the greatest rugby league stadium on the planet, the Cauldron, Suncorp Stadium. It's ready for game one. Edwards taken too high there and things spill over early. Jerry Evans comes across to Ponga, Toya, quick hands to Coates, runs towards Moses, beats him, Mitchell though rounds him up pretty quickly. Cleary comes to Haas, room to move, back to Cleary, over the top, Edwards, wide, Crichton beats Holmes, sets sail, gives it to Lomax, a cracking New South Wales try. Cherry Evans, Ponga, Nane, good stop by Mitch Moses.
Not only just me, but everyone, everyone's got to make one-on-one. You do it for the state, you do it for the person next to you, you don't want to let anyone down.
Munster. His handy on this short side, and feigns a pass to him, then loses the ball.
Yeah, feel pretty flat, to be honest, about our performance.
Chance to try and get it to Mitchell, as Moses does exactly that. Mitchell, what hands! An incredible ball for Brian To'o!
We'll see what they're like when they bounce into game two, because one thing I know about Origin is there's always a response.
Comes from Robson. Here is Cleary. Edwards, they've got them again! Cleary having an off night with the boot, otherwise this scoreline could be absolutely anything. Cherry Evans for Coates, up against To'o! Coates had a chance, couldn't hang on to it.
Potential sin mid here. In our opinion, this is a professional foul.
That is ridiculous. It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
Oh! Here's a chance. New South Wales turn it over. Coates, just like that, the Maroons are right back in the contest. Last tackle, Cleary again. Back to the right-hand side. Lomax versus Holmes. Lomax makes the catch out the back. Here's Watson trying to keep it alive. Pops it out to Edwards. New South Wales score.
Do you look to make changes for game two?
That's not a decision or probably a conversation for now.
New South Wales, they've taken down Queensland in the Cauldron, 18 points to 6.
Joining me, Gordon Tallis, James Hooper and Brent Reid. The New South Wales Blues going one up in game one. Too good up at Suncorp Stadium after a 40-minute blitz. Gordy, how are you feeling?
Oh, a little bit disappointed. At stages, it was like men against boys. Had a bit of a feeling to game two in Melbourne last year, but New South Wales were dominant. Didn't probably reach the heights. It felt sometimes like a glorified club match, but Queensland were outplayed all over the park, I thought.
The Blues didn't have a bad player, and I thought, as clunky as they were at stages, they showed some signs that if they can keep this group together, they can develop into a real juggernaut and a real state of origin force. And we saw the Maroons go on that incredible run of 8 straight series. I'm not suggesting they can replicate or emulate that, but I think they can actually win multiple series if they keep this group together.
What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at?
Hoops is declaring a dynasty already.
I'm saying if they can keep that group together, Reedy.
I'm with Gordy. It's tough to swallow because I think Queensland were comprehensively outplayed, which is really disappointing at Suncorp Stadium. I thought it was a bludger of a game, to be honest. One of the most unwatchable Origins I've seen for some time because of the penalties, the stoppages, the errors, and obviously a disappointing performance. Yeah. It's a long way back for Queensland.
You called it a bludger of a game. You said a glorified club game. Was it because of the amount of penalties? It was a 9-6 penalty count.
Well, I don't think it helped, Braith. I mean, there was penalties for things that in Origin previous years, I reckon they've let go. When was the last time we've seen 15 penalties in an Origin game? Seriously. And it was a bit nitpicky for me. And I just think it stopped. And I'm not saying it would have affected the result. I mean, Queensland was second best. Yeah. But it just affected the flow of the game, and it wasn't the most watchable of Origin games for me.
What do you think, Gordy?
Yeah, it didn't feel like either side got a roll on and had a lot of momentum. Like, even though New South Wales were classy, they pulled us apart. At times, it didn't feel like there was a massive roll on where it could have blown out, if that makes sense. So I didn't know the penalty count. I knew that someone were a little bit soft, say, when it comes to that arena. We were all talking about how good Game 3 was last year, and that's what I was expecting, and it didn't get
It was clunky. There was no real flow in the game, but I think it was obviously clear to everyone that the Blues were the far better team, and if it wasn't so clunky and it was more free-flowing, the score might have been even worse for Queensland. Now, you mentioned it, Hoops. You weren't happy with it, the possibility of a dynasty. Is there... listen, we're not even close. We know that, Rudy, right? There's a long way to go. We haven't even won a series. We haven't won this series. But there's a possibility with this team and that dominance last night, if it continues that way for the next 2 games, that this side's got a pretty good nucleus to it and does have the potential to.
I'm not going to be silly enough, Braith, to go off before acceptances and declare a dynasty after the Blues have won one game. And I would say, in relation to Laurie Daly and his second coming as Blues coach...
Just do it. Just say that
I'll get there, right? I'll get there. I'll just put this caveat on it. I remember Andrew Fafita, right, tearing Queensland apart at Suncorp Stadium 2016, and he drew comparisons with Arthur Beetson. New South Wales came back to Sydney, led in that game and looked to have it under reasonable control. Ultimately were beaten, then they went back up to Suncorp and got beaten by 50. So I've seen too many false dawns, Braith. However,
we've all seen that.
However, if they can keep this side with Latrell Mitchell and Stephen Crichton in the centres, Angus Crichton and Liam Martin, the Blues did not have a bad player. Mitch Barnett, Isaiah Yeo, Payne Haas in the middle, Spencer Leniu coming off the back fence, off the bench.
If they can
yes, they can. Yeah, well, we're going to get to that.
We'll get to that
We're going to get to
that
that because I did think that was a very interesting talking point. But yes, if they keep the nucleus of this team together, absolutely. This is New South Wales' window.
Guys, 1 is not a row, 2's a pair. 8's a row.
Thanks for that.
8 in a row, right? Just to let you know.
Okay.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
Well, can this team chase that? Maybe they can.
Well, we have to. There's no choice.
How?
By playing our style of footy. I think if the ball stays in play, we're smaller, we're fitter, we're faster, the big guys maybe get knocked up, right? So we didn't have a chance to play our style of footy, which with Harry Grant and Munster and those guys, then it's a pretty good spine, right? And if we move the ball around, and you know that the bigger they are, if you can move them around and take a bit out of the tank, and we couldn't do that. It was stop-start, they're fresh, they're bigger, they're more powerful, and they powered through us.
How good, Blocky? Commiserations, Billy.
Thank you. I don't want to talk about it.
The forward pack, though, Blocky, let's start with that. They smashed them last night. Why were they so good, the New South Wales Blues pack?
Well, just their leg speed, just the way they got through the tackle. And, you know, poor old Queensland couldn't stop their first couple of rucks. And the thing I liked about their performance yesterday or last night was the way that they controlled through the middle. Now, generally as a half or a 5'8", both you'll be able to tell us, once you get that momentum, you start to swap the way around that you're playing. New South Wales didn't do that last night. You just have a look at the stats there, especially the post-contact metres. Now, I don't remember New South Wales in that game, and they stuck to what they were good at. I don't remember in that game going out the back. They played flat and fast, and I'll tell you what, Moses and Cleary are that clever. Once you get them on the front foot, they'll summarise. And you know, what they did was they pulled all the Queenslanders in, and then they shifted the ball off quick play the balls. And they just got them every time.
What about the back 5 for New South Wales? I mean, the forward pack obviously stood out, but they did have help from the back 5 who were incredible. How do you stop that, Billy?
That's a great question. Their back 5 is world class. Queensland missed 49 tackles. Tackle 1, tackle 2 was our weakness. We never gang tackled or dominated them. If we do that in Perth, if we win tackle 1, tackle 2, then all of a sudden Payne Haas was always tackle 3. He was carrying the ball into a bent or broken line, and his leg speed was too good. And we were struggling from that moment.
Billy, that's
we have to win tackle 1 and tackle 2.
That's something, but that's a will thing. That's something you can't train for. Yeah. That's getting down, kick chase, try and bugger up their first couple of rucks. If you can do that, then you dominate. Then they're on the back foot. You have a look at the New South Wales forwards. Now, the big thing when you're a forward, when they kick down, and we've got so good blokes at the back now, right? Once they make momentum and make 40 metres up, I'm only going to run back 10 metres. Yeah. If they dominate, I've got to run back 40 every time.
You look at the post-contact metres in this year, it was just continuous. And that was the key. As I said, because we lost control of the set of 6 early on, we were clawing to get back into the...
Did it shock you though, Billy? Because it's Suncorp Stadium.
Yes.
It's game 1.
Yes.
And the first set of 6, New South Wales just rolled through them to 50 metres. It's unheard. You never see that.
It did shock everyone in the house. I watched it and went, this is interesting. We basically were in a losing arm wrestle because the New South Wales line speed was better and they won the collision. And Gordy, as you talk about, that's this 1%. There's no skill in that, and that's where we must rectify. And Laurie Daly's point in his press conference is He's now waiting for the rebound. The response from Queensland is important.
Tino needs a hand.
Yeah.
Tino needs someone with him.
So I played with a big pack, like Webby, Petro, Thorny, myself. How do you win, or how do we stop it with a smaller pack?
We've got to play fast through the middle. We've got to, we actually have to do to them what they did to us. Our line speed was we were defeated in the line speed, and then that's not skill. I thought that at the collision, at the line of contact, Barnett, Haas, they just constantly were sticking their nose through. We have to stop that. Our markers have to work harder. It's not going to be easy, but it can be done.
I've never seen it in a Queensland game, but you have a look at the dominance of the penalties in the first half. I thought they might have been a little bit over-aggressive with, trying to go over the top and rip the heads off and all that sort of stuff. I mean, I looked at Tino in the pre-game when they were lined up and they were playing the national anthem. He had a tear in his eye. Maybe he was overstimulated. Maybe they were sort of, they had, after what happened last year in Game 3, maybe they were trying too hard. Sometimes it gets in your head, that
One
sort
thing I
of
did
stuff.
notice about the New South Wales defensive line, it was superb. And people were pushing up on the far side of the ruck, kept coming across and closing down. Yeah. As the game evolved, Queensland's obviously tank of petrol was getting lower. We stopped moving across and plugging the hole, and that's why when a lot of the times they got yards and scored the tries, they were stripping us of numbers on the far side after the return.
I think they dragged. I think New South Wales, with their dominance through that middle third, they dragged everyone in.